Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Sandi Bouhadana, and I'm your host for today's webinar introducing GenPT. If you can hear me, go ahead and drop a fun emoji over in the chat section. Thank you. Very nice. Appreciate it. Yes, it's a party day. Today's session will also be recorded, and we'll have a video recording of that and slides to send out. We have the Q&A function down below for any questions during the webinar, and at the end of the webinar, we will do a live answering of a few of the questions. So it's a big day at Siemba. We're officially launching GenPT, one-click AI native security testing for modern apps. With me are the visionaries behind GenPT, Kannan, Siemba's founder and CEO. Yes. I see you.
Thank you. Big day indeed. We are very
Big day.
excited to showcase how GenPT reimagines modern application security testing. Thank you.
Yes. And Sandhya, co-founder and chief security officer. Welcome to you both and to the entire Siemba pride tuning in. We're going to start off with a quick poll. How do you test your apps today? Please take a moment and answer the poll on your screen. How do you test your apps today? Manual, automated tools, mixed approach? We don't test yet. We'll just wait a few more seconds. Okay. Well, it looks like 38% answered manual only, while 62% answered a mixed approach. This is great. Wherever you are today, you'll see how GenPT can speed things up and raise confidence. I'll get rid of this poll. And let's set the stage, Kannan. Why GenPT and why now? We've got you on mute, Kannan.
Thanks. Live demos are always tricky, but great question. And why GenPT? So many years ago, I was a security product manager at a global enterprise, and we used to test hundreds of apps every single month. We had global teams and business units all over the world. And it was always a challenge to test releases on time, and security would always be the pause button instead of being part of the launch lane, instead of being a part of the product. So the idea was that how can we test apps fast? The second thing, which also adds to being fast, is how can we enable every single person, anyone, even those without a security background, to run at least sanity checks and maintain fundamental security hygiene. Now, security testers are a hard commodity to get. They're expensive. So if we have a tool that enables anyone to do security testing, that would change the world, at least for us in the application security space. And the last thing, imagine you are testing hundreds or thousands of apps in an organization. You are suddenly inundated with thousands of findings. And how do you make sure that you are identifying the real risk? There is so much noise. So how can we wade through the noise and focus on the real risk? So these three questions is what prompted us to start Siemba and ultimately create GenPT, and here we are launching it. So the idea again, Sandy, is security should be an accelerator, not a pause button.
Yeah. Well, what makes GenPT different? Well, let's unpack some of the key features with Sandhya, and we will continue to answer questions as you load them in the Q&A section, but I'm pretty sure she's going to go over a lot with you right now.
Thanks, Sandy. Very happy to do that. As Kannan mentioned, the whole idea is to make application security available for anyone, anywhere, and anytime with speed, scale, and efficiency. The first key win for us was the one-click payload-driven testing. So anyone can drop a URL and hit go. Our AI orchestrates targeted payload-based tests. There are no challenging or long setup procedures.
Now, will this break my app?
Great question. We get that a lot. The answer is no. GenPT defaults to safe, non-destructive tests and throttling. You can enable deeper tests in a controlled window. See, the next common challenge that application teams face is how to test both their internal and external apps. GenPT addresses this by providing simple VPN options that enable testing of internal apps. It also detects web application firewalls and does intelligent throttling so that the tests go through without getting blocked. And one of the biggest roadblocks that users face in the runtime testing of applications that require authentication with controls like MFA, which is multi-factor authentication. GenPT supports session-based, token-based, and other authentication forms while supporting seamless multi-factor authentication. It even captures screenshots so you can visually verify if your app actually authenticated.
Visual verification through screenshots, that sounds very interesting.
It does. There is another very important feature, tech stack fingerprinting and intelligent coverage. See, traditional scanners run all their test cases against every single app, whether it's relevant or not. GenPT, on the other hand, fingerprints your tech stack, custom curates optimized test suites from our extensive library of test cases, supporting all major frameworks and compliance mappings.
I guess this is the speed and accuracy that Kannan was referring to earlier.
That's correct. That's correct. And we also have express and site-wide tests. So what does this mean? You can conduct a quick 2 to 5 minute sweep for a quick health check on specific URLs, which is perfect just before a release, or opt for a deeper test using site-wide testing feature. And these are both out-of-box options, so you can choose while you are starting your test.
And what happens if you finish a test?
Evidence-backed findings. So once the test is done, GenPT documents every findings in detail. Every finding includes proof, repro steps, and compliance mapping. And another prominent feature that I would like to highlight is our ISO insights. Let's imagine you have thousands of findings and you need to quickly understand risk or how well you're making progress on remediation. This is where ISO insights come in. ISO is your AI security partner, which analyzes all the findings, correlates, and contextualizes with asset criticality, exploitability, patch availability, etc. So it significantly cuts down the time needed to, mentally process the outcome of a test or series of tests. Think of it as vulnerability risk assessments done for you at scale. And we also bring seamless integrations. Like we work with the tool stack that you currently use in your organization, be it Jira, ServiceNow, Slack, or more. And we keep adding more and more productivity, GRC, and security tool integrations. And team collaboration, right? Yeah, you can bring your entire team on board, be it your internal team, vendors, auditors, or other third parties. The idea is to establish consistent visibility across stakeholders. And the last thing that we are super proud of is the one-click reporting, right? Siemba offers a variety of one-click reports, as detailed or as brief as one would prefer. Reports that you can download as a PDF or a CSV, just makes life easy for security teams.
This is great. You've answered a lot already. I'm not seeing a lot of questions, so that is great. Now, ready for the fun stuff, everyone? Before we go to the live demo, we're going to do another poll. So how often do you test pre-release? Let's bring up the poll. There we go. So is it every pull request, each release or milestone, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or rarely ad hoc?
Wow.
We have almost everyone has answered. All right. All right, the results are in. 7% said every pull request, 60% with each release and milestone. Nothing on weekly, a little bit of monthly, 7%, and rarely ad hoc, 27%. Thanks everyone for joining us on that poll. Let's see. Get out of that. And okay, it's showtime. Kannan, you're take us, show us how teams bake GenPT into their pipeline.
Absolutely, Sandy. I'm very excited to show how GenPT solves these problems for end users. In the poll, we just saw that 60% of the users actually test every release, and 27% did not test their products in each release. So the idea here is that for everyone who tests every release, we are going to accelerate that process. We are going to make it faster. And for those who rarely test or test on an ad hoc basis, we're going to make it easier for you so that you can test, you can get into the habit of testing your product releases. So I'm sharing my screen. If you can see it, please give me a quick thumbs up so that I know that you're able to see my screen. Awesome. Thank you so much. So we are right now in the overview screen of GenPT. And over here, you can see that there is a high-level summary at the top, how many findings were identified in the last 30 days, what are the new findings, what kind of tests you performed, how many assets you tested, key insights, around the findings that you identified across all your tests, and what are those findings, the observation and the recommended action. Then you have your basic metrics around the finding status, the finding severity, and the tech stack breakdown. And as you get into a habit of conducting more and more frequent tests, you'll also see trends, patterns and trends, severity and status trends. And right below, you can see all the tests that you have done so that you can go in and see what was done, what were the findings identified, and what exactly happened there. Now, without much delay, I'm going to run a test. I'll start with the express test option, which Sandhya mentioned. And all you need to do is click your start button here, choose whether it's an external or an internal app, put the target URL, and hit go. It will ask you for a declaration, making sure that you're authorized to conduct this test. Of course, we need that. And it'll also show you options for conducting an authenticated test, where it gathers your user ID, password, MFA secret key, etc. if you're doing that. In the interest of time, I'm showing you an express test, but I'll also show you a test which we ran authenticated using MFA so that you can understand how that works. Now I'm hitting continue. And that's it. The test has started. So here you can see that it has detected the tech stack, and over 29,000 test cases have been curated for this tech stack, and it is going through various different activities. So there is, it is also eliminating false positives, deduplicating findings, updating the findings that were already logged, and also enriching the findings with any new information that is out available so that you can do a better job of remediating it. Now, let me go back to overview, and the same app I had tested previously right before this call. And here is the summary of the test. You can see that the test completed in 16 minutes and 27 seconds. It shows that you have 33 open findings. It shows the finding status and the finding severity breakdown, the tech stack. It also pops out key insights. So if you click on the insight, it says 16 findings threaten regulatory standing. So, and it shows the recommended action. Apparently these findings impact PCI DSS, and it shows you exactly what those findings are. So you didn't have to go through all the findings. The system actually told you what needs attention. Here is another insight where it says that 7 findings had matching CVE IDs. CVE stands for Common Vulnerability Enumerator, and it identified 7 findings that are already listed as with CVEs. So the observation, recommended action, and the list of findings associated with that particular insight. Now let's go and see the findings themselves. So you click on see all. Here is a list of all the findings. Here you can see that some of these findings have CVE IDs. Let me open one of these. you can see that every finding has a name. It has a one-line small description, a summary, the asset, the platform, the CVE ID, whether it affects PCI compliance, when it was initially identified, then the severity, likelihood, CVS status, potential threat score, and the business risk score, which takes the asset criticality into account. Now you have principal insights below that, which talks about the endpoint where the finding was identified, details about the finding, any third-party references where you can learn more, the description of the finding, the request and response that was triggered as part of the payload-driven testing that we did, the impact, the remediation recommendation, and steps to reproduce, detailed steps to reproduce so that you can try this out on your own end. And right below that, we have the finding mapped to almost all the major compliance frameworks out there so that your compliance mapping becomes simpler and it's out of the box. And then you have the risk and the severity score breakdowns. So this finding screen provides you with almost all the information that you need to kind of go ahead and start remediating. Now, if you go back and click on generate report, you can see that there is a generate updated report button if you want to generate a new report for a test that you ran again, or you can download the existing report. So the one-click reporting, which Sandhya mentioned about earlier, provides you with a very detailed report that can be shared with your compliance auditors, with your internal teams, with your leadership, with any third-party partners that are involved in your application development. And it kind of makes sure that everyone is on the same page. You can also bring all your team members onto the Siemba platform and give them access to these tests. So the whole idea here, if you look at it, it took 16 minutes and 27 seconds to conduct this test, all the way from putting the URL in to getting a full-fledged PDF report and the findings getting pushed to ServiceNow or Jira or any of the other tools through integrations. Now imagine this happening at scale with every release. That is where GenPT is delivering you with faster, smarter, and scalable security testing. Now, one other thing that I had mentioned earlier was authenticated testing, where Siemba takes care of things like MFA, multi-factor authentication. In traditional DAST tools, you have to actually record using a Selenium script, the login process, and upload it, and then hope that the test will execute and it won't fail. Whereas in Siemba, it is a very seamless process. GenPT actually captures, as part of the test initiation process, if you choose authenticated testing, it captures your user ID, password, and your MFA secret key. And while the test is being executed, it kind of generates a secret token and logs you in. And it also captures visual evidence for that. So here I am clicking on an authenticated test that we did on our own platform. We drink our own Kool-Aid. So you can see that it has popped up the login screen. It has entered the user ID. It has entered the password. It waited. The MFA screen appeared. It entered the token key here, the secret key, secret code that was generated, and it logged in. So it has successfully logged in and conducted the testing. This was a site-wide testing authenticated using MFA. So the whole idea here, as I mentioned earlier, is to make security testing simple so that it doesn't become a bottleneck and it becomes a part of the product. Security becomes a part of the product release instead of being a pause button in your release process. So that was a very quick overview. I'm happy to do deeper demos, but this was a very short overview touching upon the key features that Sandhya mentioned.
That was quite impressive. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Congratulations. We have some questions that have come through. I am going to open it up, so use the Q&A function for some questions. I'm going to jump into a few that have come up. Maybe, Kannan, you can answer this one. Can I have multiple profiles for authenticating testing based on application user roles?
That's a great question. And the answer is an emphatic yes. We support multiple login profiles. So if you have a manager role, a user role, or a supervisor role, you can upload the credentials of each of these roles to our platform. And when you're executing the test, you can select one or more profiles. So the answer is yes, Sandy.
Excellent. How does GenPT manage false positives? Sandhya, do you want to take that?
I can take that. See, GenPT conducts payload-based testing, which looks for evidence versus a signature-based scan, which is what traditional scanners do. So, in addition, our native AI, it analyzes and removes findings to eliminate noise.
Okay, next one. How does ISO work?
Let me take that one. So ISO, AISO, is your AI security officer. It's your AI security partner. And what ISO does is that it becomes that partner which helps you do vulnerability assessments or risk assessments at scale. This was something Sandhya had touched upon when she went through the features. So it looks for key aspects like asset criticality, finding severity, exploitability, patch availability, real-time threat indicators, past information. So it uses all of this information to correlate and contextualize and present the actual risk against your organization. Now, a very quick example that I can give is that a mission critical asset in an organization could have a low severity finding, and a very low critical asset could have a high severity finding. And both of these could pose the same amount of risk to an organization. And you won't see it if you're looking at spreadsheets with thousands and thousands of findings. This is where ISO jumps in, does the analysis, looks at the patterns and trends, and pops out that intelligence immediately after the test. So that's how ISO works. I'm very excited about ISO, by the way.
Very smart. I think, final question. What about large targets? Do you crawl large applications?
Absolutely. So we have two options, like you saw in the demo and when Sandhya did the feature walkthrough as well, Express and site-wide. Express is a very targeted test. It tests the specific URL that you have given, whereas site-wide is an open test, where it goes ahead and crawls through every single endpoint that the platform can identify. And once it identifies every single endpoint, it executes a test continuously on all of these endpoints. So your coverage is as much as it can be or as much as it needs to be based on the size of the application.
Wonderful. All right. Is everybody ready for their free trial of GenPT? There are two easy next steps to start your GenPT trial. You have a QR code in front of you there, or just go to try.siemba.com. To repeat from the earlier, this webinar has been recorded, and we'll provide slides and the recording to you. And Kannan, one sentence, what do you want people to take away from this webinar?
I think security should be simple. It should not be a bottleneck. It should not be the pause button. It should be an accelerator. It should be part of the launch lane. It should be a part of your product. And with GenPT, that's possible. It's application security anywhere, anytime. And so we are so proud to launch it today. And we hope that we are able to help all of you in delivering more and more secure applications.
I don't know if that was one sentence, but congratulations on the launch. And thanks everyone for joining us on this historic day. All right, webinar's over. Bye-bye.